But when Cass said they all a group, he forgot to put DL Hughley in the group.
Well, Club Shay Shay is getting messier and messier.
And I said to myself, I'ma see you. I'ma see you.
There's a reason you're by yourself. There's a reason you got to pay a man to love you.
Now, as y'all are watching right now who haven't heard this story, y'all going, what does this have to do with your contract? Let me tell you what it has to do with my contract. Not a damn thing. You babies that are really good with this internet, through the years, I've watched DL speak ill of me.
Then she encouraged everybody, allegedly it stems from the fact that I used to always talk shit about her on video after video, and she encouraged her sweet babies to look at the video and find them. Do that. Do exactly what she says. And you know what you're not going to find? You're not going to find any evidence of that, because Mo'Nique is a fucking liar. She's lying about that.
We got the files. What's up with y'all? What's up with y'all? Welcome back to Moxy Approved. Mo'Nique went on Club Shay Shay, and she went in on some of her familiar targets.
We wanted to act like we didn't see how Oprah Winfrey treated Taraji.
Oprah.
Of Tyler Perry. I don't want you to take me at my word. I want you to hear his words.
Tyler Perry.
If you cross the line, Oprah, if you cross the line, Tyler, I'm gonna see you home, motherfucker.
But the one I wanted to focus on is what she had to say over a long, well-known dispute she's had with her comedy colleague, DL Hughley.
And there's a brother named DL Hughley.
Yep.
And until he take accountability, I won't let it go.
What was it that caused a disagreement between two comedy legends to unhash into a bitter war of disrespectful jokes being thrown at daughters?
His daughter was violated from a really good friend of his.
Marriages.
No, it ain't that he just goes in on me.
And even dogs.
My wife, my dog, later on in subsequent conversation.
Which started off as just a contract dispute.
If she'd have spent as much time actually writing jokes and writing her Netflix special as she did complaining about not having one, it wouldn't have been trash.
Now it seems like it was something that was possibly way more deeper in the first place. Now, this beef became known to the world during a show at the Detroit Fox Theater where both of these comedians were scheduled to perform.
We were scheduled to do a show in Los Angeles. I was the headliner of that show. His name was on it, then his name came off. I didn't question it, but I knew I'ma see him, right?
Eventually.
Okay. Now we have a show in Detroit.
But the problem was, one of them was supposed to be an opener and the other one was supposed to be a headliner.
Mo'Nique is to be the last person on the goddamn stage. She is the headliner. That's what I signed the fuck for.
Mo'Nique actually felt like she had merit. She would have done one of three things. Either she would have took it up with the promoter, and she did, and the promoter said, we're going on, and whether you're going or not, that's a different thing.
Whatever the case was, DL Hughley positioned himself to be a headliner by showing up approximately around 9 o'clock, in his own words.
Now, we're playing a gig in Detroit this weekend. I know I'm going on at 9:45. I leave the hotel. I get there around 9. Mo'Nique had just gotten there. She's supposed to be there at 8:40. She had just gotten there, gone at 8:40. She got there at 8:38.
I was contractually signed to go as the headliner.
Right. I mean, you go last.
DL Hughley didn't come into the building until 9:30. Now, contractually, I said I have to be on stage by 9:30 because if the show starts at 8, I refuse to keep an audience waiting.
Right.
That is disrespectful to the audience.
Correct.
What Mo'Nique was trying to do was to slow walk the show. She didn't end up getting on for 30 minutes. The oldest trick in the world is, if I want to change the order and I don't have merit, I'll try to make people wait so long that everybody gets nervous and go, please just go on so we can avoid a conflict. That didn't happen. Mo'Nique got on stage.
So Mo'Nique was forced to take the stage as an opener instead of the closing position that she had signed up for. Now, she used this as a moment to go off on DL Hughley in pure comedy fashion.
When I went out on that stage, Shannon, I made sure everything I said, he heard me. Because now you're here and I'm going to say it to you.
And she goes on stage and she proceeds to eviscerate me. Not just me, but Steve Harvey, the sexual, my wife, my dog, later on in subsequent conversations.
Y'all don't understand the fight a bitch had to go through to stand in front of y'all tonight. Y'all don't understand I was ready to walk the fuck out of here, but I said I can't let the people down of Detroit because the promoters as raggedy as a motherfucker. But a nigga named DL Hughley turned into a bitch and said, I won't perform if she does that. I won't go out if she does that.
Now, as a comedian, we use comedy to take out our frustrations in the world. And man, did Mo'Nique go off for DL Hughley.
So I said, well, let me let the shit go and let me give it a go. And you know what God did? He gave it right the back. He said, bitch, I gave you everything you need to deal with these goons. Steve Harvey, DL Hughley.
At some point, she even stated what DL name stands for.
Nigga, your name is DL. What the does it stand for?
Now, after this entire event went viral, both took to social media to explain the behind-the-scenes agreements on who's supposed to headline and who's supposed to open. The Kings of Comedy icon quickly posted up a picture of a memo where he was supposed to be the headliner.
Mo'Nique would ask to see Hughley's contract. He would then proceed to post his deal memo. The deal memo stated that Hughley was slated to close the show, as well as be the highest paid artist on the show, have approval of the lineup and running order of the show. Hughley's caption read, "After this, I don't want to hear no mo about this."
Then, the Queens of Comedy icon quickly posted up a copy of her contract where she was supposed to be the headliner.
But Mo'Nique would post her performance agreement in response that stated that Mo'Nique would be the headliner and closing act of the show. There were some of you who were fooled by the smoke and mirrors of DL posting his deal memo versus his performance agreement. Here is my performance agreement, and here are emails and texts confirming that as per usual. If you notice, mine has signatures and DL does not.
On Club Shay Shay, Mo'Nique, she made a huge point to where a memo is not the same thing as a contract.
Contractually, I was the headliner. DL Hughley posted a memo. Now, when you signed your deal for the Ravens, did you sign a contract or a memorandum?
I signed a contract.
The memo is saying this is what I would like,
Right.
but the contract is saying this is what it is.
Now, what appeared to be a quirky game from the promoters to get both of them on the same show and sell tickets turned out to be something much deeper than just a contract dispute.
And as an entertainer, families are off limits.
Mo'Nique went on to display character of DL in the form of he didn't protect his daughter from abuse when she was a child, so how does she expect him to handle her?
Earlier today, we did a post. And we did a post with DL Hughley having a conversation about how his daughter was violated from a really good friend of his. And at the time, he didn't say anything because he didn't want to jeopardize that relationship with a really good friend, and he didn't believe his daughter. We posted that. If that black man couldn't put any protection around his own daughter, we know we have nothing coming. Mo'Nique, what does this have to do with your contract? What does this have to do? You're going too far. What does this have to do with your contract? Let me tell you what it has to do with my contract. Not a damn thing. Not a damn thing. It has nothing at all to do with my contract. What it has to do with is the character of the man named DL Hughley.
DL, who's mostly a laid-back person, laid-back comedian, he was visibly upset.
I work very hard to control the environment I work in comedic. If she has the temerity to call me a coward would have left. A coward would have said, I can't go. You didn't even want to go on when you had a contract that you knew that not to be true. You made up this whole narrative that you knew not to be true, and you played that out in front of the audience. And then I had to go on behind you.
He responded on his own radio show about these allegations.
She proceeded to talk about how I let a man touch my child, which nothing could be further from the truth. They were both 13 years old. They were friends that had grown up together. She told me about it years later, and when she told me about it, I, and this is something I lament to this day, denied that I said, well, you know, that's what kids do. Now, that was my estimation of it. It was not her interpretation of it. She was hurt by that. And I will never forgive myself for not, A, believing her, and B, handling it the way I did.
But wait, before we go further, please do me one small favor, hit that like button, and if you haven't yet, it's totally free. Apply pressure to that subscribe button.
Who says they love women and are there for women and protect the babies and would trot out someone's sexual trauma just to use in an argument.
He claimed that this is just another stunt of Mo'Nique, that she just can't keep getting out of disputes with anyone she does business with.
That show was one I signed on to do. I made the quintessential mistake, the horrible mistake that like Tyler Perry, like Lee Daniels, like Oprah, like all these people of saying yes to you. And it is an occupational hazard. It is my fault. I have learned my lesson.
And in his statement, you can hear that there wasn't always a rift between the two.
After talking to a lot of people, and one of the very people in this room about how things are different, two of the very people in this room, as a matter of fact, and how things are different, and look at, how things are coming around, I decided it would be wrong for me not to give somebody a chance based on things that they'd never done to me. That would have been wrong to me.
But even a past filled with partying together turned out to be a very blurry picture.
And nigga, you put your feet under my motherfucking table. So you came to my home, nigga.
She goes on her diatribe and she talks about me having my feet under her table. That was at her invitation. I was doing a gig in Greenbelt, Maryland. She lived in Baltimore. She was having a fight party. It was, I think, Evander Holyfield and Mike Tyson. And sure enough, I came to her table at her invitation. And it was a wonderful time. As a matter of fact, it was based on that interaction, along with talking to people, I decided that I would do these gigs. I decided I would do it.
He also expressed that Mo'Nique specializes in weaponizing women to go against anyone she doesn't agree with.
And the thing that bothers me the most isn't the things that you said, because I know who I am and I know what I do. And I have a pristine reputation. Everybody who knows me know what I'm about. It's this whole, my dear, my babies, I love you for real, which is so transparently false, it is ridiculous. None of that had anything to do with alleged contract dispute. And you do what you always have done. You tried to weaponize black femininity. You tried to turn that audience against me. You tried to burn everything down.
One thing is clear is that they both claim the other one as being the first to utilize family as a talking point.
Family is sacred.
It's supposed to be.
And we don't cross the line with family.
Mm-hmm. But for Mo'Nique, A, to put a man in that room, which never happened, and B, to bring up sexual trauma in an argument that has nothing to do with what you're talking about is unconscionable.
Would you say your wife was your family? Is that considered family?
Yeah.
So your husband is considered family,
Absolutely.
right? That's how that whole thing got started.
Which brings me to my next point. In her Detroit set, Mo'Nique briefly spoke about what initially set her off.
I did his radio show one time, right? Because I'm thinking, this is my boy. So we were on a radio show, and when we get to the end of the program, they say, Mo'Nique, would you like to play a game? Well, bitch, I like to play games. So I said, sure, let's play a game. And it's a game called Would You Rather. Would you rather? I said, f it, let's go. And then the sister Jasmine says, would you rather your husband Lee Daniels without a condom or Corinne Steffens with one?
But it wasn't just a question. It was how DL responded to her.
How could you ask another sister that? I call DL Hughley on the phone. I say, hey, baby, yeah.
Huh?
That's how he responds. Yeah.
Did he know it was you?
Yes, because they called him to let him know Mo'Nique's gonna be calling.
Right.
Like this, it was getting crazy.
Right.
I'm like, just let me get on the phone with my brother, right?
Yeah.
Hey, DL, yeah. I said, listen, I just got off the phone with your team and they wanted to play this game, Would You Rather? And it was like, stupid. Like, asking me about my husband and Lee Daniels and Corinne Steffens, and his exact words, well, that's how we do it. I said, DL, how does that uplift our community? And again, I don't know what y'all trying to insinuate, but brother, what you doing? Like I said, that's just how we do it. So it is what it is. Now, it got so ugly that my attorney had to send a cease and desist, so it never aired.
Mo'Nique did, and she said I was very dismissive, like, Mo'Nique's a liar. When Mo'Nique did call me, I heard her complaints, I listened to her, and I pulled the segment. So if I had been as dismissive as she alleges I was, that segment would have aired. It didn't, because I respected her wishes. She's a liar.
I must admit, to me, it's still not clear what initially made Mo'Nique mad. Was it the contract?
If you sign the motherfucking contract, that's what the fuck it is.
Was it the question from the radio show?
Well, we just planned. I said, tell me the joke in that, because I don't know what you're insinuating. Then you're involving people that have nothing to do with nothing.
Because like DL said, the question never made it on the air.
It was about a contract. It was not. It was about an insult on the radio station, on my radio station. The question never aired. You know it never aired. And you continue to have this.
But she did make a huge point. She put content creators to the task of finding old videos where DL was dragging her about her situation with Netflix.
You babies that are really good with this internet, through the years, I've watched DL speak ill of me.
And DL did the same thing. He put content creators to the task to find this footage.
Then she encouraged everybody, allegedly it stems from the fact that I used to always talk shit about her on video after video, and she encouraged her sweet babies to look at the video and find them. Do that. Do exactly what she says. And you know what you're not going to find? You're not going to find any evidence of that, because Mo'Nique is a fucking liar. She's lying about it.
And guess what? We got the files.
What did you think of Mo'Nique, her stance against Netflix for not paying her?
Listen, I recently did a Netflix special, and after Mo'Nique made the claim, and I had signed to do it, after Mo'Nique made these claims, I called my manager and go, hey, wait, how much am I making?
Right.
But I ultimately think that you can't ask somebody to boycott Netflix when you're making $500,000 in an hour, and they're trying to figure out how to get the $13 to pay for their Netflix. I just think you show them what you got, and then we'll see what happens. But ultimately, a special is all about advertising. It's about showing people that you still got the ability to make people laugh.
Right.
But I always thought, in terms of anything, if you said, I'm gonna get in shape, and you got in shape, and you stopped doing what it took to get in shape, you wouldn't be in shape no more. If you stop doing a thing, and you talk about how you used to be a thing, you're not that thing anymore. It's the height of irony to believe that you've already done enough to merit anything.
Did Mo'Nique did she have an argument?
Sure, everybody has an argument. Yeah, I believe she did have an argument. But the bottom line is, nobody you know makes that much money for 1 hour. Nobody. LeBron James, the president, nobody for an hour. We're talking about $500,000 for an hour's work. How am I gonna tell you my problems? I'm asking you to help me boycott somebody so I can get more money, and you trying to come up with the $13 you need to keep your Netflix on. That's silly.
Now, this beef is really messy. I don't really do gossip, but I will always move to display and showcase how black comedy can be one of the dirtiest businesses you could ever decide to be a part of. I think some lines was crossed by both sides.
And I said some things on that stage that I said he was cowardly. And some folks said, how could you say that? How could you do that? And then I posted some things to say, this is what I meant. See, you came after my husband.
It's interesting. You know what else you won't see Mo'Nique doing? You won't ever see her with her family, videos with her children or grandchildren, because nobody with me. How do you have sweet babies when your own babies don't with you? How do you love us for real when there's no evidence of anybody loving you for real, except your daddy, who you apparently have to pay? And FYI, daughters are paid for by daddies, not daddies who get paid by their daughters.
I don't think you're a homosexual man, DL. I was making a joke, and I can't believe you got tender.
It could look like Mo'Nique crossed these lines first.
And I like to consider myself a woman of honor. So I've got to do something right now publicly that I did publicly. And when I something up, I've got to fix it up. So I'm going to take care of that right now. Okay. To DL Hughley's family, I want to publicly apologize if I hurt anyone's feelings.
But she definitely has receipts. And I'll tell you that DL was playing the Hollywood game with her. And what's that? I've seen many times when somebody, especially a person of color, goes against the system.
And when they say, we don't like the way they do business, why is it they don't get specific about what it is that we've done? The problem that it's had with Mo'Nique, as with many black women, y'all not supposed to stand up for yourself.
There's always at least one person, if not a few, usually from the same community, that will use that as an opportunity to go against them just to propel themselves forward. I think that is definitely what DL is doing, and I hardly ever side with that. When you disagree with somebody from your own community and y'all in the same business and you don't like the way they're moving, a lot of times it's just best to mind your own business instead of jumping on top of them when you see an opportunity.
And people begin to get comfortable to jump on the Mo'Nique bandwagon of Mo'Nique doing things wrong and she doing this and she doing that.
And now I know what Tyler Perry knows, I know what Lee Daniels knows, I know what Oprah knows, I know what Steve Harvey knows, I know what Charlamagne the God knows, I know what Netflix knows. Saying yes to Mo'Nique is an occupational hazard.
And Mo'Nique made a lot of sense when she spoke on how DL was going on these white shows, including DJ Vlad, to make her look like a fool.
And I watched this brother sit down with that white cat, Vlad, and tell this white man all that I wasn't, as the white man told him all that me and my husband wasn't. And I watched DL Hughley go in.
Well, Mo'Nique has a new special on Netflix.
You know I'm not gonna say anything about, I don't even know who you're talking about.
Can I at least just say a quote of what she said about you?
I wouldn't even be interested.
Okay, well, I'll just say it and you don't have to comment. When they asked about you in an interview she did recently, she said, let me say this. What I said about DL Hughley, I meant it and I don't take it back. They said, how could you attack his family? I never attacked DL's family. I never said anything about DL Hughley's family. I simply reposted an interview that DL Hughley had. I will say this, I don't have no issue with DL, but because DL was never brave enough to say, guys, I started this whole situation with my sister Mo'Nique. I started the whole thing. After that, we can move forward. Everything he said about DL, I meant that. This whole situation.
When you go somewhere, and every time you go somewhere, a fight breaks out. Here's the ultimate test. Everybody I've ever worked with will work with me again. My family fucking loves me, despite all the horrible shit I've done.
Yeah.
I'm as solid as they come. Can you say the same? I ain't gotta sue people or call people out. I ain't gotta argue. I just be who the fuck I am and do what I do. Show me a picture of you with your family. One.
When somebody like Mo'Nique, who has openly stated her childhood trauma, when they feel like they've been disrespected, good luck on telling them how they can handle it. I don't think you're gonna get through them. But this is definitely a situation that's gotten out of control. But I wanna know how you feel about this. Let me know in the comment section. Where do you think this situation went wrong? And it definitely makes us look bad to the entire industry. Well, anyways, you know how we like to end our videos over here at Moxy Approved, right? With that water. I see y'all here next time on Moxy Approved.